back in the Borough, New Year's Eve party. I mean, I wanted to do a scene with loads of my friends celebrating, but I had to collect wrestling figures. Hello and welcome to part 26 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we have an FA Cup fourth qualifying round game against a team that feels familiar from another universe, Bath City, and then we're away against one of our local-ish rivals-ish, Leamington, in the National League North. Since you were last with me, we have continued this glorious sea of green. There's been a couple of yellow blotches on it, but the important thing is we are still unbeaten. 13 games into the National League North season. We're unbeaten, 12 wins, just that one draw against Stockport. We're top of the league, 37 points and a plus 33 goal difference, 6 points clear of Boston, who are also unbeaten, interestingly, in second place, and they're 6 points clear of Hereford. If you're a Boston fan right now, you're probably feeling quite hard done by, because that season, any other year, puts you 6 points clear at the top of the league. But we're just having a crazy, crazy season, because we have some crazy, crazy players. Marsh and McQueen are joint top scorers in the National League North, both with 13 goals from 13 games. I mean, that'll do from your strike partnership. Marsh is the best player in the division, closely followed by Smith and Hornsby, who are both our players as well. Smith is second for assists. Marsh is top for man of the match. Linus is top for clean sheets. We are a good team having a good season, and we would very much like to book our place in the FA Cup first round proper, and this is the team that we're going to put out there to do exactly that. We've got Linus in goal, a back four of Anderson, Grimes, Stone and Birch, with Smith, Elliott, Brundle and Hornsby in midfield, and then Marsh and McQueen up front, because how could you not play Marsh and McQueen? Striker-wise, I mentioned on the last episode we'd signed a couple of new ones. Shola Ayula is just starting to get a couple of opportunities from the bench. It's very hard to give them any opportunity at all, really. And the other one, whose name escapes me because he got injured almost straight away, Sedwin Scott, tore his groin muscle. Yeah, tore his groin. He's going to be out for another couple of months yet. And yeah, it's a bit of it. I mean, he did score once, but he's supposedly the best of the four that we've got, and we haven't even seen anything of him yet. So I'm excited for when that day comes. We're still living in a world with no team instructions, and we just adjust the mentality to suit the opposition. So we're going with a control mentality today, because Bath are not as good as us. They're over in the Conference South, and they're not top of it with an undefeated record, so we're at home. We should be able to beat them. We did make a bit of a meal of knocking out St Neots in the last round, though. It was when we were having our little mini wobble. We drew against Stockport in the league, then we went away against proper non-league St Neots, who were in a non-playable league, and we drew against them as well. But then we did, in the replay a couple of days later, pick up a win, and it was quite a decent win, a confidence booster that got us back to winning ways in the league as well. So hopefully we don't have another FA Cup wobble today, because we are struggling a little bit financially. We don't want to get ourselves into the situation where we have to start breaking this team up, because we're falling further and further into debt. So an FA Cup run would be a very nice little bit of cherry on top of the cake of a good season. Imagine we get promoted and have a decent FA Cup run that brings some money in as well. It would be just about the perfect season you could ever hope for. Shame it's 4 seasons in, Kev. Yeah, but that's beside the point. We got here eventually. I think I have figured out how to do the Conference North and South. We did it with Bath before when we had a 4-4-2 with no team instructions and just tried to get the best players to fit into a very simple system. And now we're trying the same thing with Nuneaton, and it's working with them as well. So here's Kev's official tip of the day. If you want to get out of the Conference North or Conference South, play a 4-4-2, adjust the mentality according to your opposition. Don't put any team instructions on at all, because they confuse your silly, silly non-league players. And then just try and get the best players you can in each position. I mean, that part is rocket science. I'll write that one down. We'll go through that later. Try and get the best player for each position. That's a new managerial revolution. We are 1-0 up, thanks to Tyrone Marsh. Cross from McQueen. Marsh tucks it away. That's fairly typical. A fairly typical Nuneaton goal this season. Those two have just been an absolute revelation. What a strike partnership. A strike partnership unlike any other I've seen for a long time. They're up in Wells and Irabarren territory for their level. It is absolutely crazy talk. We thought we had a good season with Mills and Robles at Bath and non-league to legend, but those two have nothing on Marsh and McQueen as they're doing at the moment. And if they can carry this on all season, I don't see us losing a game at any point because they're just that good. And the last time I spoke like that, it was with Bath. When we had Mills and Robles, that was when Mills started banging his head all the time. The partnership never really played together again, and it all fell apart a little bit, and we had to redo everything, and the emergence of Dean Rittenberg, etc., etc. If you haven't watched any of that series yet, now's a good time to go catch up on that. Well, it's New Year's Eve if you're watching this when it comes out. There's probably other things you could be doing tonight, but tomorrow go catch up on non-league to legend. No one's watching this anyway. It's 4:00 on New Year's Eve. Say hello if you're watching this at 4:00 on New Year's Eve while you're getting yourself ready for your big night. I mean, I'm 35 and don't really drink, so my big night is I'm looking forward to having a go on that quiz game on PlayStation with my kids. So that's Kev's big night. But let me know what your plans are. I'm interested. I can live vicariously through you lot if you let me know in the comments where you're going, what you're doing, etc., etc. It'll give me a good feel for a demographic profile of my audience. Have we got the Jägermeister audience? Have we got the... Oh, I'll try and stay awake till midnight, but that last piece of quiche I had in my buffet might have tipped me over the edge into nap zone. It'd be great if we had a blend of the two. Right, why can't we pause this game? Pause the game. Let's adjust mentality. We'll drop down to standard and we're going to make some substitutions because we're 2-0 up. And it just feels like the right time. Lionel Stone can come off. We're going to bring on Maynard to play centre-back. He's not really a centre-back, but Nathan Baxter's injured now. And with Ercolani still, obviously, without a work permit, we're trying to retrain Maynard to play at centre-back. He can, in theory, play there. He's competent. Plus, he's whining that he's not getting enough opportunities in the team. So there's a place he can get an opportunity. He can play centre-back. Elliott needs to come off as well because he's not very good. Wheatley can come on for him and we'll just swap those two over because Brundle, he's much more useful a little bit further forward. And I think, I don't know whether I want to see Ayula or Borrell. Both of them need game time. I don't really want to break up the front two. We'll have a look at Borrell. He's the young 18-year-old who's got bags of potential, but because Smith's having such a good season on that left wing, he's not really getting any opportunity. We'll drop down to counter for the last 10 minutes just to try and close the game out. I'm having a little glance through the Bath team to see if there's anybody I recognise, but I guess we are 3.5 seasons into the future. I don't recognise any of them. I don't know how many of the players I had when I was at Bath were players who were already there in real life or whether it was all kind of nonsense when I got there, and I certainly had a massive overhaul. Don't recognise any of them though. That's a shame. But at least we've managed to cross universes and defeat Bath. They exist in the Backing the Boro universe too. Who knew? And this puts us into the FA Cup first round proper, and we're hoping for a nice juicy draw. I'd love a game against Posh personally, although I think they might be in the Championship in this save now. I need to have a check now I've said that. I think they might be in the Championship, so if we're going to play Posh, it's going to be a waiting until the third round. And if we get to the third round, we're going to want bigger opposition than Posh. So that game might... Oh no, they're in League One. It must be in the other series where they're in the Championship. So Posh could be an option, but we're not going to worry about that. What we're going to worry about is Leamington in the league. We're not worried about Leamington in the league after all. They're playing Alfreton instead in the FA Cup. So Curzon and Ashton are next. Right, let's have a watch of this FA Cup first round draw then. There are some big teams in there. Cardiff and Forest most noticeable. I don't know much them are. But we want one of these big teams. Right? Forest away or Cardiff away would be awesome. But failing that, one of these little non-league teams at home. And let's have a second round. So we'll just keep clicking until we find ourselves. Right. Oh, Posh. This one. I'll have this one, please. No. Salford against Nuneaton. Oh, Salford are in League Two. See, it's one of those games. I mean, it's an interesting tie. But I guess it might be winnable. But it's probably not. And there's not going to be any money in it. Meh. Oh, well. It's not the worst tie we could have had. Think of the search engine optimization, Kev. You can release a video with Salford in the title now. Oh, we've had a nice little rest. A week off. We haven't had a week off for ages. To celebrate, we're bringing Maynard into midfield because, as mentioned before, he's in a moody because he's not getting enough game time, so let's give him some game time. Wheatley's dropping to the bench. Wheatley's just signed a full-time contract with us again. He was on a month-to-month contract, and someone tried to come in and sign him because I forgot he was on a month-to-month contract, but we tied him down to... We're probably paying him too much money at £400 a week, but he's been a key player for us this year, so... It's the price I'm willing to pay. We're dropping down to a standard mentality for this game because we are away from home. Curzon Ashton are a team we should be capable of beating. They're down in the relegation zone. If it was one of the bigger teams, we'd go counter-attacking away from home. I mean, it's very simple, the little rule of thumb that we're following. But fingers crossed, we can pick up another win and push forward. So, I mean, the more points we accumulate now, the less we need to worry when we inevitably collapse later on in the season. I've just had a little look at the fixture list as well, and that Salford game actually falls really nicely because it's the game before we play Boston in the league. So next episode has already taken shape nicely there. We'll have a Salford story of some kind, and then maybe a clash of the two remaining unbeaten teams in the Conference North. So it could potentially be a massive episode. And I don't know what happened there. We sort of kicked it really hard into one of their defenders and they just lumped it back again. It was a really weird... But I don't know why that justified a highlight. This is one of these weird long highlights where we don't know which end it's going to end up. They're attacking our way again, but this could even still be our goal that's come in because it's now gone up the other way again. They've intercepted it. It's with us again, and now Marsh is in behind it. It is going to be our goal, and it's Tyrone Marsh. Weird highlights in FM18 sometimes. I don't understand why sometimes we get these really long highlights that make no sense. But I guess they add a little bit of... We don't really know which way it's going to go. Here's a highlight, but it's... Because I guess previously... You could kind of guess whose goal was coming or whose chance was coming, because whoever's got the ball at the start of the highlight... That's what's happening. Whereas now, it doesn't happen every time, but every now and again, you get these ones that are a little bit end-to-end. And I guess it does add to the excitement of it. So forget weird highlights, Sports Interactive. Well played. I like it. This is where they announce it was a bug and they fix it or something in the next patch. But as it stands right now, we're going to be on 40 points after 14 games, which... I mean, this is... I think we've already broke the Nuneaton record for wins in a row earlier in the season, just before we drew with Stockport. If we avoid defeat today, we set the club record for undefeated games, I think. We certainly got an inbox message about it. I assume they were talking about it happening today and not it happens in 3 games' time or something like that. So there's club records all over the place at the moment, and this team deserves it. I mean... Why didn't I sign these players and do this tactic 2 seasons ago? I'm running out of superlatives to describe this group of players playing in this system. They're just very... We'll check in at some point, maybe even on the next episode. We'll check in on Jordan Nicholson and Ashley Chambers and a few of the others who were in the failed team of 3 seasons and see where they've ended up, see if they've gone on to bigger and better things. I know Nicholson has because he's playing in League One. We'll check in to see if he's actually playing, though, or if he's just a reserve in League One. But I guess he's got his way because he's earning League One money, which is what he wanted out of us. Right, Smith is in behind. Can he get the cross in? He can, but it doesn't make its way onto any of our players' heads. But McQueen is there to tuck away the return ball from Elliott. And did that just say it's his 20th goal of the season already? Because that is just nutso-land. Elliott did well here to nod this back down to McQueen, and McQueen just isn't going to miss. Remember the first game of this season when I said, we've not really... What's just happened? Why is my computer talking? Apologies for that. Wrestling just appeared on my computer for some reason. I think I hit a button because I had it paused in the background. But as I was saying, remember the first game of this season, or first episode of this season, when we were talking about how, or I was talking about how I'm quite happy with the squad. I wish we had a prolific goal scorer though. We don't really have that 30 goal a season man. Who knew we had 2 of them already knocking around in the club? We've just conceded a goal though. Now my phone's vibrating. It seems that this episode is destined to be filled with interruptions. Hopefully that isn't a sign from the universe that we're about to pick up our first defeat of the season. But for another interruption to come, just as we concede a goal, it might be coming. I hope it's not. I wonder if the wrestling noise got picked up through the microphone. I hope it did, or else you're all going to think I'm crazy. Right. We're already on standard, aren't we? I think. Is that the... Yeah. So we'll leave it on standard for maybe 15 minutes, and if we're still 3-1 up at that point, we'll drop down to counter for the last half hour or so. There's no point trying to push too hard. McQueen off the crossbar and tucks away the rebound. And is that another hat-trick for McQueen? Or I think it's just his second, actually, isn't it? This man, what a player. Is it Darren McQueen? He's not even been here long enough for me to learn his first name yet. I think it's Darren. What I do know is he's scoring goals for absolute fun, and it's just awesome. Lovely little finish as well there. Darren McQueen is... We call it, even if he's not Darren, we change his name. He takes a free kick. Stone is there, and it just sort of grazes the crossbar and goes out for a goal kick. Boston are also still unbeaten. I'm just glancing at the top of that league table there. We have got more than 20... Well, we've got an extra 20 goals on top of their already good positive goal difference, though. So I would like to think we should be able to take care of them in the clash of the unbeatens in our next episode. But I mean, they must be drawing again. They're dropping points, and it'll be an 8-point gap if things end as they currently are. Right, Birch can come off, bring on Worrell, Bristow, and I would take Grimes off, but I don't have anyone to go. I suppose we could drop Maynard back there again and bring on Joe Wheatley. We'll make him the stopper. Shall we make him the stopper? We'll make him the stopper. Move Stone across. And do we want to bring Brundle? Actually, no, we'll bring Ayula on. Bring him on for Marsh. Swap those two over so McQueen can actually have a go in his preferred position. Yeah, that's right. He's not a poacher. He just scores lots of goals from there. And Ayula, I don't know. Have you had a look at Ayula yet? This might be your first opportunity to see him. I've only seen him for a couple of little 20-minute bursts. He's still not match fit. We're still a long way from seeing the best of him. But in theory, he's the proper poacher. He's the guy we signed to be the guy who scores the goals. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits into this team. Right, we're going counter-attacking. It's 4-2, 20 minutes to go. We don't really want to give them away back into the game. We'll go counter for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And then, assuming things stay as they are, we'll drop back to defensive. I've just seen it was Maynard with the own goal as well. Perhaps the playing Maynard at centre-back experiment is already over, because that was one of the weirder own goals that you'll see. We'll go defensive for the last 10 minutes. I don't think we need to drop back any further than that. Contain scares me completely. Defensive, I still struggle a little bit with defensive. McQueen has just rattled the crossbar from about 35 yards out. And was it a corner? No, it wasn't. We've had 20 shots in this game. We're away from home. Can I remind you, we're away from home. And we've just absolutely torn Kerrs National apart. I don't know where they are in the league. Relegation zone. Shouldn't have conceded 2 goals, really. This actually might not be as impressive as I thought it was, but it'll do. You know, we're still unbeaten in 14 games, and here's Ayula. We actually get to have a look at him finally, and I mean, that's blew me away, that did. Elliott to Ayula again, and he's good at the whole let's not take it too far forward deal. Is that what he is? Or is that just because he's not fit? Right. Let's have a little look at the league table before we depart. If it wants to load up. I assume it will load up. There we go. So we are ending the episode 8 points clear at the top of the league. It hasn't mentioned anything about an unbeaten record. So closing in on new unbeaten run. It's gone 17 matches unbeaten. So there's some from the end of last season. The existing record is also 17. Oh, so we have got the record. But just haven't got a notification for it. So there you go. Another record for this season. That's awesome. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. As I said at the start, have a happy new year. Did I say that? I mentioned it was New Year's Eve. Make sure you have a happy new year. Have a good night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And we are back on a normal schedule for next week. So the next episode in this series will be 9 p.m. on Tuesday. So if you've been enjoying having a little bit more of it in the 4 o'clock slot this week, we are back to the 9 p.m. Tuesday and Wednesday for this week. So hopefully you will continue to join me for Back in the Borough as we enter into 2018. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.